Hello again, everybody, and welcome back. We are going to do another video on my truck. We're going to keep working away on the wiring some. This cylinder head that I said was going to go to the machine shop is at the machine shop. So I got that pulled off and stripped down, whatever, and sent it out. So Donnie can fix up my whoopsie there. I'm also going to make the second half of the turbo feed hardline. That's going to go back to the oil pressure center area, and we're going to get this bezel thing mounted to the firewall for my Holly harness to pass through. I'm also going to 3D scan down in here so we can start making a turbo drain for the oil. Kind of hard to explain, but with all of the tubes and wastegates and things down in here, a standard -12 line doesn't really fit as well as I would like it to, which was maybe a bit of an oversight on my part, but I have a plan. The same way that I did this part, we're going to attack the turbo drain the same way, and that is I'm going to draw it in CAD, and it can be kind of whatever it needs to be, and then we'll 3D print it out of stainless, just the tube part, and then I will weld it to a stainless flange for the turbo, and I'll add a -12 weld-on fitting at the end of it for a flex hose to attach to. So that's my plan. Again, we'll get into 3D scanning it here in a few minutes, and I'll show you kind of my process for how I do that. So should be fun. I'm going to put the wastegates back on quickly, just again so that they're in the scan and they're kind of in the way. But yeah, here we go. Okay guys, so what you just saw me do was I scanned this twice, once with and without the turbo on. The scanner couldn't quite get up in between the compressor housing to get the location of where the actual drain is. So thankfully I was able to pause the scan, remove the turbo, and I actually took a second scan and was able to align them in the software, and it's just processing the scan right now. So from what I've scanned, we'll be able to take the bottom of this flange, which is actually a stainless, what is it, Maven Performance drain flange, and it's got a -12 ORB fitting in here, or thread pitch. But what I'm actually going to do, I think, is I'll have the new drain piece 3D printed in stainless, and we'll just weld it right to this. So this piece itself, the turbo brace, it's going to be a goofy looking piece, but it's going to be very purpose driven, and it's going to give us exactly kind of what I want. So the advantage of us making it from 3D printed is I can get some super tight radiuses in here and, you know, kind of like corkscrew it like that thermostat housing I showed you. So rather than relying on me being able to bend tube or anything like that with a super long swept radius so it doesn't crunch the tube, we'll be able to 3D print it as tight as I need be. We'll be able to keep the wall thickness all super even all the way through it, and it'll still be stainless, it'll still be weldable, it'll still, you know, look the part. So that's the advantage, and that's why I'm doing it that way, because it'll be able to kind of gooseneck around everything, and it's not a piece of hose, so it's not really going to care if it's close to any of this super hot stuff. Whereas, you know, AN hose, eventually over time you'd probably burn the fabric off the outside of it or whatever, you know. So this will last as long as possible. and we'll be able to get to a point where I can then put a flex on it, so that between the engine and the turbo itself, there's some give. So.
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
Okay guys, so I've got my scan input into Fusion here, and what I did was I created a plane off of this here, which is the turbo drain flange up in that top corner there. You can see my mouse. And I also just picked a spot kind of down here by the AC compressor and created a plane there. So I went ahead then and created a couple bodies, like so. That's kind of my endpoint right here. And then up here as well, I did the same. So these will be my endpoints, and I also use them as axes to have my new drain pipe become perpendicular with these flanges. So if you don't have an axis that is perpendicular to whatever space you're trying to hit, the spline will just kind of go wherever. So I did that, and then I created 3-point spline and was able to come up with this. So the red tube is my potential new drain tube. You can see it clears the exhaust. There's no sharp bends in it. There's a couple points where it changes and kind of swirls around nice and smooth. And it just kind of fits everywhere that it needs to fit. So this is not finished, but I am currently 3D printing a test version of this, just because I should have put the AC compressor in here when I scanned this. Obviously I didn't. So I want to print this and see where it winds up here down at the bottom. I'll be able to add, just hold up like my weld bung, which will be a dash 12AN weld bung, and hold on a hold on a AN hose fitting, whether it be a 45 or a 60 or straight, whatever it winds up being. I just want to make sure that where this is ending currently, I'm not going to build myself into a wall where it's forcing me to run a 90-degree hose end or something like that. Because the entire purpose of this, nice smooth drain pipe is to not have any 90s and to not cause any potential backups for oil draining. So I am going to put a nice flat big flange on here when we're all said and done, just so that it gives me a much nicer finishing register to weld. And then I'll also put some type of locator where it can line up with the bolt hole or something, so I know that I'm going to get it exactly right. So yeah, it's 3D printing right now, and we'll test it out in a couple hours, and that's what it's going to look like. A clue for 3D printing, I left it as a solid. There's no hole in the middle. That will allow me to run very small amounts of infill, and then it's not working on two walls. It's only working on this outside wall, and the whole entire center section will be infill. So this prints much faster. So currently this is a 2.5 hour print, which, I mean, I could definitely print it faster, but 2.5 hours is not that bad. So we'll check back, and I'll show you how it fits when we're done. All right, so while that piece is test printing, or my test print is print testing, I went ahead and finally mounted this. I just drilled some rivnuts, or drilled some holes in the firewall, added some steel rivnuts with the splines on them so they don't spin. And yeah, so obviously there's a ton of wiring to change, as I mentioned before, but man, with the light on there, this firewall looks really gross. Anyway, that's mounted. I do like this little bezel, but it did leave me considering something, and that is it seals the wires up nice. Like, it doesn't seal them, but it holds them nice. But there's technically nothing sealing the firewall. Whereas like this rubber grommet, it's sealed. There's no engine smells or water or whatever getting in there. So I kind of was farting around, and I built myself this here little fella. So this that bezel sits inside here, and this is a lip on the outside of it. Obviously it's split the opposite direction, so you know, if it was split this way, technically probably there would still be, you know, a leak spot. Theoretically, I've moved this apart just so you could tell that it was two pieces. These do butt up against each other, but for the purpose of me showing you this, I moved them apart. So I think I'm going to have this 3D printed out of material called TPU or something similar. I gotta look yet still, but it is a rubbery type filament, and theoretically will act as a weather seal for that bracket, which has always been kind of lackluster in that regard. So pretty excited about that. So I'll let you know if I wind up actually going through with that or not. I'm probably going to print a test piece just out of plastic just to make sure that it fits the way I think it should. But, I mean, I've drawn way harder stuff. So anyway, moving on. I did, in fact, print this. It's very quick and dirty, and I didn't even bother peeling half the supports off. But it does fit in the truck. I'll go show you. So this is me very roughly holding it in place, and it does fit. The only trouble being is because I've made this bottom face here parallel with the AC compressor bracket, it leaves me a very sharp edge. It's very hard to show you in this with this in the way, but it leaves me a very sharp and short distance between where the motor mount sits and the compressor itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to back this spline up onto this bend here so that it actually points down, and I'll be able to run a dash 12 fitting down under the AC compressor, and it'll kind of hit that gasket line of the oil pan, and then I will make another hard line. We're not going to 3D print that one. I will actually make it out of stainless, and because I do have these guys, so we will actually flare a fitting. There's already a dash 12 fitting welded into the oil pan, so we'll build a drain line out of that, out of stainless, and then have a bracket somewhere up, you know, wherever the flex hose is going to connect to it, and run a short little dash 12 flex hose that kind of does something like that. Weld it all out, get it all powder coated, it'll look beautiful. So I'm going to modify this slightly, and I think I'm just going to order it. I don't know that I need to draw another version. And I'm considering also adding some type of support to this. This is going to be pretty thick anyway. Like, it's already quite a bit bigger than an actual dash 12 line would be. Like, that's 3/4, and I drew this 875. So I just wanted to make the material nice and thick so that it was good and sturdy. So yeah, I'm just going to draw this, or modify it, sorry, and then I'll put that little flange on the end that I was talking about, and I think I'm just going to order it and pay for my consequences later if that is the case. But yeah, so that's cool. Okay guys, so I just went ahead. These are both in my Craft Cart Cloud, and the turbo drain with the flange looks like that. We were able to, whoopsie, where'd you go? We were able to, it's hard looking through a camera screen, get a nice fillet on the drain there. Same with this side. So this weld, or this face here, is going to be the one that gets welded. We're going to TIG weld it, obviously. So that should work out nice. That'll give me a nice ridge. That's an 1/8 of an inch tall, so that should give me a nice ridge to weld to. And then down here, I'll be able to weld my dash 12 AN fitting on there. I would show it to you, but I've spent a significant amount of time looking for it. I know there's 6 or 7 of them here that I ordered for the truck already for various things, and I can't find them. So they are here. We'll deal with it when that gets shipped. I also went ahead and put the gasket in here. It's going to be a soft TPU FDM print, which is like a normal, what you think of when you think of a 3D printer. So all said and done, shipped and everything from overseas, were 230 bucks Canadian, which as of today is $167.90 in USD. So pretty affordable, super cheap parts, super well done. We've printed a bunch of stuff already. You guys have seen that. So I'm going to go ahead and order this, and yeah, looking forward to when it shows up. It will be July 21st to August 1st, and I guess that's for both of them. So it's the 11th right now, so 10 days minimum, which is fine. We got a lot of other stuff going on, so I'm going to send this, and that'll be that. Now, I know somebody's going to say it. You could have just made it out of tube. You could have just welded elbows. I even have the elbows. Yes, I could have. But that's not the point of what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to practice this stuff so I can implement it more and more for customers, and trying to push my brain to think about things differently. And this little drain took me, between scanning it and drawing it, maybe 45 minutes tops. Maybe, all said and done. So could I have made it in tube in 45 minutes? Not a chance. It is significantly cheaper if I think about it in a shop rate type of scenario, where I am billing someone X number of hours to do that, plus the cost of material and argon and all that stuff. I don't think I could have made it as fast as I scanned it and drew it. So there's that. And again, there's going to be areas where, not necessarily a turbo drain, but something, where we're trying to make something look factory, or hit a spot that you can't get a radius tube in there properly. Where something like this is going to be, is going to be incredibly valuable. So if I can get a little bit more seat time, pay for it out of my own pocket, and build things a little bit quicker for myself, I'm going to. So if you're going to go the route of going, you should just have the tube done with stainless and the TIG welder and whatever, great. I get it. But I'm already pretty good with tube.
What did he say?
So I'm trying to expand my skill set and practice this kind of stuff a little bit more, and especially my 3D scanning. In case you can't tell, it's not that shit hot. So we're working on it. I'm trying to grow myself, trying to grow these skills and not have to do it on other people's cars as often. So if I can do it on my own, I'm going to do it on my own. So I think that's going to end this video off. I'm pretty excited about these pieces coming, especially this gasket part. I have not printed anything in like a flexible material yet, so I'm looking forward to that. And who knows, it might suck. But again, I would rather pay for it myself and find out the hard way than charge somebody for it, and 3 months from now their part is falling apart, or it just sucks in general. So I am using my own truck as a guinea pig, which I have done for 10 plus years now. So that's fine. Yeah, this was kind of fun. I'm looking forward to, I guess, part 2 of this video, which will be when that shows up. We'll get it on and we'll make the other half of the drain. And yeah, it's going to be tight to get this thing running for my birthday, which is, again, August 1st. But I'm really not that concerned about it if it doesn't happen. There's a lot of stuff going on in the shop. We did just hire a new guy, so there's going to be myself and 2 other gentlemen here. So everybody already knows Jesse. If you've been here long enough, or coming by, or coming to Cars and Coffee, whatever, you've probably met Jesse. He's been here just over 3 years now, I think. So yeah, new guy might take up some time just getting him settled and whatever, but things will be good. So, anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this 3D printed stuff. It's pretty cool. It's changing the game for us big time. And I hope you think it's as cool as I do. Bye.